The last video that I put out talked about adapting manual and vintage lenses to the R5. And shortly after I did that, I was playing around with some of the third-party lenses that I have, and I discovered that this one in particular, it's a Sigma 15mm fisheye, does not communicate well with the R5 because it drives the IBIS absolutely crazy. And I know that old lenses sometimes need to have their firmware updated to communicate with new modern cameras. And I just wanted to put out a little PSA to tell you guys that this is a possibility that it might happen with some of the lenses that you have. They might not work or adapt well on the R5 and probably also the R6. I did adapt this to an EOS R that I used to have, and on that camera it worked fine. So I don't know what changed between the EOS R and the R5, but I'll show you guys real quick what happens when I adapt this one to the R5. I think it's the IBIS going crazy with a lens that maybe it thinks that there's IBIS or it's trying to compensate for not having it. In this case with the Sigma, maybe it's confused because it's a fisheye and it's a focal length that it's not designed to work with. I'm not so sure. I noticed that as soon as you hit the menu button, the IBIS stops and you can go in and turn it off manually, and then you go back to live view and you're absolutely fine. The surprising thing was, even though that this lens has an older autofocus mechanism in it, it still seems to work pretty well tracking eye autofocus and everything else, although it does do a lot more hunting than a lot of other lenses I've put on the R5 do. If you also have a lens that does not work well on the R5 or the R6, please let us know in the comments down below which make and model it is. And don't forget that if you give this video a thumbs up, it'll turn up higher in the search results and it'll make it easier for people to find this information.